You have the guts to sell my fishes. Hmm? I see. You have no fear for your king. Now you will see my wrath. You are hereby banished for cheating your king.
Once upon a time, in a very big kingdom, there lived a king called King Obum. He was a very wicked king. He never forgave nor forget the wrongdoings of others towards him. One can only get forgiveness from the king if he is presented with expensive gifts by the offenders. Obum had a very big archive where he stored all his exquisite possessions. He believes that when he passes on to the afterlife, the amount of riches he possesses is the way he will be treated. His wife Anuli had often told him that he should stop his bad ways, that one can only be remembered in a good way, and by the good things they did when they were alive, and that she doesn't believe that there is anything like the afterlife, and even if there is, that she was sure it would be measured by the good things they did and not by their wealth. But Obum never listened. Unduka was a fisherman, and he often went into the deep to catch rare fish breeds. The king heard of him and told him to bring some colorful fishes that he could put in his pond. Unduka agreed to do so the next day. Unduka often go early compared to other fishermen. He cast his net and caught different kinds of fishes. Then he arranged the one he would sell, eat, and give to the king. He kept the one meant for the king in a big metal basin while he went to the market. On returning home, he saw someone already waiting for him. The man introduced himself as Benson from the city. Unduka asked what he could do for him, and he said,
I own a big hotel in the city, and I want some colorful fishes that I can use to decorate my pond. I have sent someone to get me some, but each time they were out of the ones I prefer. So someone directed me here, and I can find some lovely ones. And I already see some in the basin there, and those were the ones I actually want. I will pay you any amount you ask of me.
Unduka was stunned. The villagers never showed interest in these colorful fishes before, and just recently the king asked for it. Unduka thought for a while and decided to sell the fish to him, since the king never said anything about payment. He could just get the king new fishes the next day. Nduka sold the fish for a huge sum and was so surprised that the fish was worth so much money. King Obum had waited for Unduka to come and bring his fishes, but Unduka was nowhere to be found. So he sent someone to his house, and there the person saw how Unduka sold the fishes that were meant for the king. He went back immediately and reported what he saw. Obum was pissed. He sent his guards to fetch him. Then he appeared before the king. Obum then said,
You have the guts to sell my fishes. Hmm? I see. You have no fear for your king. Now you will see my wrath. You are hereby banished for cheating your king, and you have 1 full week to leave this village.
Unduka tried to explain, but the guards dragged him out. He was frustrated. He couldn't think straight. Where would I go? Where would my family stay? O gods of my ancestors, I plead that you help me. Throughout the night, Unduka couldn't get a wink of sleep. He couldn't even tell his wife what transpired between him and the king. Nduka felt so restless. So he went fishing because that was the only way he knew that would help him relax. He casted his net and he caught something heavy. To him, he thought he caught a shark. The net kept wriggling, so he pulled it out and he beheld a mermaid. His breath became uneven. He had heard tales of mermaids, but never had he seen one or hoped that he would see one. All he knew from the tales told was that mermaids could be beautiful and strong creatures, but are somewhat scared and could be violent when they see humans. He looked around to see if there were more, but he couldn't find anything. She must have left home, he said, because mermaids were rarely on the surface of water. She looked scared, but then he thought, should I let her go, or should I offer her to my king so he could forgive me? He chose the latter, and because she was little, he tied her up and hurriedly looked everywhere to avoid being seen by anyone. He took her to the palace and demanded an audience with the king. Obum was angry and didn't want to see Unduka, but he went out with the thought if Unduka's visit was useless, that he would get him killed. He went out, and Unduka told him that he had a gift like no other to give him, but he can only unveil it when the guards were sent out. Obum looked at Unduka suspiciously and then ordered his guards out. Unduka then opened the veil, and when the king saw it, amazement filled his face. He smiled so wide, something he rarely does. He immediately told Unduka to follow him. They went through a narrow passage leading to an underground room. There were everything needed to live a comfortable life, and there was a pool filled with water. That part of the building was built by Obum's ancestors to hide from their enemies who seek to destroy them. Not many knew about this, and some of the few people that knew had died. Unduka dropped the mermaid into the pool and then left. Obum appointed Unduka as his chief advisor because of the rare gift he had received from him. Everyone that knew what happened between Unduka and the king was surprised. Tongues were wagging. How did he do it? What gift did he give? Oh, I'm so curious, many people said. Unduka's wife, who later found out about her husband's problem with the king, asked him, my husband, why would you hide something like that from me? Am I not good enough for you to share your problems with? And what is this I am hearing? You have been promoted to the king's chief advisor? What did you do? How did you make it happen? She asked. I am very sorry, my wife. I didn't mean to keep this a secret from you. I was just so frustrated and I didn't want to make you sad. But don't worry too much. I had it sorted out. Nduka didn't want to tell her about the mermaid. Obum told him to keep it a secret, that if words got out that they had a mermaid in their kingdom, thieves with dangerous weapons would come and take it away. And if that happens, he would get him killed. Nduka really wanted to tell his wife, but he was scared that she might tell someone out of mistake. And if words got out, he would be killed and his family would suffer, so he said nothing. King Obum had a handsome son called Chibweze, who was good looking and had a good physique. He loved his mother so much because she advised him to be good and respectful even after he becomes king. They spent some time together while Queen Anuli taught him how to read and write. This made Chibweze very smart and intelligent compared to his peers. Girls swoon whenever he passes by, and all of them wanted to be his queen. He would pass them beautiful smiles, showing his pearly white teeth. Obum would go to the basement with fresh fishes for the mermaid, and then he would sit not too far to watch her beautiful face. And he would say in his mind,
over the years, I have watched her grow beautifully. I wish I could marry her and make her my wife, and look at her every minute of the day.
He does this until one day his wife sat down and thought, my husband had been going down the basement over the years. That was something he rarely does before. She walked towards the basement and tried to get in, but there was a big lock on it. So she concluded that her husband was just taking a rest in the basement. This continued after some years. King Obun died, and not long after, Chibueze was crowned king. That day was a very big day in the land. One sunny day, some children went to swim in the local river when one of them disappeared from the group. The children looked for their friend but couldn't find him. The parents of the children wept for their child because they thought the child had drowned in the river and maybe he had been eaten by fishes. That was why his body was not found. This happened with children and young adults. Anytime people visited the river for a swim, one or two persons would go missing. This soon got to Chibueze and then he called the village priest, who told them to do a water sacrifice so that the problem would be solved. Various items were bought and the sacrifice made. The disappearance of people stopped for a while, but soon again it continued. Chibueze then passed a decree that everyone should stop going to the river to swim. At night, when he slept, he heard a cry he had never heard before. It happened every day, and one day he decided to find the source. He walked around until he found a door with a lock on it. His father or mother had never told him about the room beneath. He got so curious and tried to push the door open, but it didn't budge. He ran to his father's room and searched for any keys. Then he found a bunch of keys. He hurried back and tried each key to the lock, and finally when the lock opened, he pushed the door and surveyed the environment. And then his eyes drifted to the pool with a metal gate on it. He tried to unlock the gate and it swung open. Then he saw her, a very beautiful female, but she looked malnourished. And then her tail came into view. His breath caught on his throat. A mermaid? He went closer to try and touch her, but she scratched him on the face and she sank her fang-like teeth into his neck. Then he fell down unconscious. The mermaid saw this as a quick opportunity to come out of the water. She dried herself with the clothes in the room and then took the cover and tied herself with it. She left quickly out of the palace. When day broke, the queen looked for her son, but she couldn't find him. She sent the guards to find him, and there he was at the basement, badly scratched and unconscious. She told the guards to carry him to his room and immediately sent for the doctor. When he came, he asked what had happened, but no one had an explanation of what had happened to him. He cleaned his wounds and applied some bandages. Few days had passed and the king wasn't getting better, and he was still unconscious. They decided to bring the herbalist, and he too used his herbs on the king, but it was of no use. Who will save the king? This is a typical example of the saints of the fathers are visited upon the children. The moral lesson of this story is we shouldn't use our power or high office to oppress others. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, comment and share. Stay tuned for part 2. See you in our next video. Bye.